Welcome back. In this second installment of the tutorial, we are going to make use of the tools that we just installed in the previous video. So if you didn't watch it, you can find the video in the description here. So what we did there was that we installed the Node Exporter, which is what scrapes metrics that we want to monitor on our computer. We also installed Prometheus, which is what we use to query to kind of gather information about the metrics like a CPU usage and so on and so forth, right? Also, another important thing to note is that those tools are running. Here we have our Prometheus. It is running. We also have our Node. We also have here the Node Exporter, as you can see. So both of them should be running before you start what we want to do now to query these two. In order to use Prometheus, you use the query language because it has its own query language. The query language is something that you type here and then execute in order to get your response. For example, the first thing that we might want to do is to gather information regarding the CPU. To do that, you use read node CPU seconds total. So now we can go execute and see the output. Here you can see a lot of data. However, this is a bit difficult to read. You can use graph by clicking, because as you can see, we are monitoring the tables, but if the easiest way to read this is to use the graph. For example, when you click on the graph, it shows you the graph. So as you can see, this is quite a bit easier to understand. So here we have 5 minutes. You see? So this is very easy to use. And here let us try the memory usage. Node memory. Mem average in bytes. And now let us execute. We can go to the graph and see what we've got. Memory available. If we want, you can also check something like memory total. For example, memory total to show you the total of the memory. You can also check the free memory. For example, you can change here to free. Let's execute. It shows you the free memory. Another thing I'm interested to see is the disk usage. I always like to go to table at first, which is not necessary anyway, but I always like to see what the table will look like. Let's say file, system, size by byte. I hope it's here. That one. So here we can place a mount point. The root. That's the output. Let us go there. So basically, it depends on what tool that you have or what you are monitoring. So with these very commands, you are able to display all this information. Sometimes you might also want to check the input-output of the disk. That one we can use the read For example, node disk, read bytes, then here we could have that. Let's execute. You see, so here we are viewing the disk input output. Go to the graph to see, or rather the table. So here you could query a whole lot of information. For example, if you wanted, you could also query like the network traffic. Let us try network traffic. To do that, we use red node network received bytes.to. Let us see the graph. So here you can see this, the output. Also, sometimes you might want to see the running processes. For example, that one is quite simple. You use the node procs running. Let's see. Let us see the graph. That's the processes running. Another interesting thing would be to see the TCP connections. To do that, you use node net start it will be TCP current established. Let's execute this. That's the graph. Let's see the table. The table remains the same. So that's the graph. Execute. So this is how you can easily view all this information, scraping information or metrics from your computer and displaying it, or rather using Prometheus to kind of gather information from your computer. So as you can see, this this very screen or interface of Prometheus is not the best. So what we can do in the next tutorial is to use Grafana. Grafana is the tool that you could use to kind of create different kinds of interesting dashboards where you could view this information in more interesting ways. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If so, can I ask you again to please subscribe to my channel, to like and to share. Thank you so much.